You're listening to the Pittsburgh Piledriver. What the hell is that? Podcast.
Oh, hello everybody. It's the Pittsburgh Piledriver Podcast, and you know what day it is. It's Thursday. That's the day that we record this. Once again, I feel like I gotta spell it out for everybody. We record on Thursday. You listen when you listen. But today is Thursday. And that's all that matters to us right now is today. Holy crap. Between last week's episode and this week's episode, it feels like there's been just a dump truck full of stuff happening in the wrestling world. So we've got a lot of stuff to talk about. So I'm going to cut this nonsense short so that we can get right in to the ham and eggers that is this podcast. Ransom the Madman is here with Beef the Legend, the returning retaining champ, Tiger Bomb Tom. Poot the Bard is so mad that Tiger Bomb Tom won this championship yet again off of a tie that he is out somewhere in a ditch just venting, berating, probably using his once a year to poop his pants. And maybe we'll see him later on in this podcast. Maybe we won't. I don't know. That's up in the air. We'll have to wait and find out. But we're going to talk wrestling because there's a lot of wrestling to talk about. What do you say?
Let's do it. AEW.
I have some bad news to begin, though.
Well, Jesus
good.
Christ.
Bad news, Beef. Here he is.
Yeah, so I'm afraid I got some bad news. I was going to call you guys, but I didn't want to do it over the phone because that's the real schleps way to do it. But I got to be... I'm letting you guys go. You guys are being future endeavored. Comcast has made me a lucrative offer for the podcast, but I can't have you guys' long-term contracts associated with it. I'm sorry. Have a great life.
Listen, I feel like I am accepting of this. I feel like Comcast acquiring the Beefsburg Beef Driver Beefcast is a smart move on their part. The Pittsburgh Piledriver Podcast will continue. However, I feel as though we won't do quite as well without the financial backing of Comcast and without the star power that is Beef the Legend. So I appreciate your kind words, Beef, and we will endeavor to struggle on. However, I feel as though we might not make it to iTunes anymore. We might get relegated to
J-Tunes.
Yeah, J-Tunes or
probably that's probably an actual thing.
That's the Jewish podcast.
I was waiting for it.
All right, so let's not bury the lead here. Let's not get mired in the crap. Let's talk about Double or Nothing. What a fucking show, huh?
It was. The only thing that I apparently missed whenever we were outside having a smoke break or whatever was the fucking inner circle repelling down into fucking the stadium or whatever, and the only reason I know about that is because I follow most of, if not all of them, on Instagram, and I saw Sammy Guevara's little vlog about it, and I was like, holy shit! I was like, I want to go back and watch that part now specifically, but yeah, fucking hell of an event, top to bottom, a great show. Not much, I think I can speak for all of us saying that not a whole lot that we could really pick apart from all of it, like anything that was really bad. I know we have a couple of things and I'm sure we're going to touch on them. But
were there though?
Wait, now listen. I'm a little pissed. Can I be a little pissed?
Yeah.
You can.
Is that even a question? I mean, like that's you.
That's pretty much how I live my life. But Don't judge me. Listen, though, I'm a little pissed. Why is it that we, on a consistent basis, get either jaw-dropping, amazing events from AEW or really good, really solid, pretty awesome events from AEW on a consistent basis? And why do we continuously get either whelmed, underwhelmed, disappointed, or I threw up in my mouth reactions from WWE? And not even all of the WWE, because let's face it, most of them are throwaway pay-per-views. Special events, whatever they're called on the cock now. But even the big four, SummerSlam's disappointing. Survivor Series, disappointing. Rumble, yeah, whelmed. Mania, night 1, great. Night 2, vomit mouth. Why is there such a pendulum swing between these two companies and putting on awesome events?
I'm gonna ask Beef's opinion. Do you think it's because it's the new thing still, and we haven't had years and years and years and setting ourselves up for disappointment, or is it really just because WWE creative is stale and stifling and fucking way too over controlled, and AEW's is more organic?
Complacent. Same as whenever you start your new job, you're excited, you do well, you're like, shit, yeah, this could be my career to the moon. And after, a couple years of having your soul crushed, you're like, well, ain't going anywhere here. May as well just fucking phone it in.
This is a lot of projecting going on, but go on.
Oh my god, yeah. Oh my god, yeah. Well, I mean, it's for the most part, it's true. I'm sure that there are careers out there that actually reward you for working hard, but I haven't found one yet.
The Pittsburgh Pile Driver podcast does that.
No, we don't.
Where's my $49.99?
I was trying to get an intern back besides Jared Listenerman.
No, my bad. Yeah, we do great things here at the Purple Double.
The best things here. Anyway, so I believe that WWE has found a way to make money, a way to capitalize on the overhead, and a way to mass produce shows that are, while not mind-blowing, are okay. And AEW is like, hey, we need to get that money. We need to get that moolah. We got to get this cash. So they're new, they're hip, they're trendy, they're fly. They are trying to cement their viewer base and continue to add to it. Whereas WWE is like, hey, we got our viewers. Let's pound this merch. Let's sell this sponsor. Let's, get TV deals. So, different methods of business really, I think, is the answer to that question.
Different methods of business as far as because I'm not talking about making money. I'm talking about, hey, I watched something great on television happen in the ring.
But WWE knows
this brand new company, essentially. Let's face it, they're new, and then you have WWE, who has been around forever, who likes to get a hard dick talking about Raw being the longest running episodic blah 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 Boner City Cumsies. What? Why? What? They have all the money. You can't put on a show as good as AEW, and it has nothing to do with production quality. It has nothing to do with pyro. It has nothing to do with music. It has nothing to do with guest stars and celebrity bullshit. You can't put on a wrestling match anywhere as good as AEW.
They
Why?
do. NXT produces quality. It's still WWE.
Yeah, but listen.
Shut up! I'm not talking about NXT.
I understand that.
You know that.
The
pay-per-views that you see are the ones that I'm talking about.
I get
not
it.
the NXT takeovers.
I get what you're saying. Like I said, man, the old man values his coin. He could give a fuck less whether they put on a 5-star match or a 1-star match. If they're out there schlepping the product, if they're out there, making the company look good while they can, I don't know, man. So WWE was criticized a couple years ago for having too long pay-per-views. So what they do, they really made it high and tight. they've put together 2.5-hour programs now that have about 5 to 6 matches on it. I don't know, man. Like AEW, because I mean, realistically, the roster talent is probably about the same. And again, to be fair, I am an AEW mark. I'm an AEW fanboy. I'm the podcast rather than an AEW fanboy. But I will readily admit that WWE has a lot of fucking talent sitting in the wings. Well, less now than it was 3 days ago. But I digress.
And we'll get to that.
Yes. They have the talent. They have the tools. They have the blueprint. I don't know, man. I just like I feel like it's literally they found a way to do TV. Like segment 1, segment 2, segment 3, segment 4, and we're out. They found a way to at the end of the day, I want to make it about money, and I guess it's not really about money because at the end of the day, whether a pay-per-view is 4 hours or 7 hours or fucking 3 hours or 2 hours, they make the same amount of cash. I would imagine from the Peacock. So, I can't explain it. It's the same. The same questions come up about NXT versus WWE. Why can NXT consistently have amazing special events month in, month out, whereas WWE sucks the bone?
I think it could also be because of the fact that at least with AEW events and AEW pay-per-views, we're not getting them once a month or sometimes 2 a month, depending on when it falls in the calendar year, because we have had that before. So I mean, it feels it's the same thing. If you've made the analogy before, having a steak dinner is awesome, but if you have it 7 days a week for 2 months straight, it loses a little bit of luster. So I think the fact that we get the NXT takeovers, once a quarter, and same with AEW, pretty much getting these events, once every couple of months to, once a quarter or whatever, it feels a little bit more special. It's just like it's kind of goes back almost to the territory days when you'd have somebody that was hot. Abdullah the Butcher was hot in one area of the country wrestling, and build a star, and then once the luster started to wear off there, you move them to another territory, and then it feels like it's brand new again, even though it's not. It's the same thing with like when you get wrestlers that come in from another company, regardless if they've been doing it for 5 to 10 years before they got to WWE, it's still a big deal because in the zeitgeist of WWE, the quote unquote casual fan or the quote unquote WWE diehard fan maybe hasn't heard of or seen this person's entire body of work. And they could come in and do some of the same, character shtick and everything that they've been doing outside of WWE for however long too. So I think, I guess I kind of answer my own part of my own question. I think it's because the AEW is still so new, and we're not as jaded from AEW as we have been with WWE, because there have been numerous times as is well documented that we've been let down by WWE. We've been underwhelmed or just whelmed,
So
yeah, but
I'm gonna disagree a tidbit with that.
Okay.
Just because, and my disagreement isn't on AEW is new and shiny and ooh, and WWE is over here like I've been there, done that, seen it all the time, bing bong bang. I'm not an AEW mark, fanboy or whatever like Beef is. I'm a wrestling mark, wrestling fanboy. I will appreciate whatever company the wrestling comes from if it's wrestling that entertains me. If it's a match that entertains me, I don't care where it comes from.
Right.
If you had a triple threat match at SummerSlam, WrestleMania, Backlash, pick a fucking place, and you put 3 people in that title match, and that match was as amazing as the triple threat title match that happened on Double or Nothing, I'm not going to shit on it and go, look at that, WWE being the ding-dongs, look at that, doing the thing. Like, I'm going to see it and go, hey, wow, that was a great ass match. Now I might go into it with a little bit of like a jaded scope, like, oh boy, here we go. Drew McIntyre's in the match again, and oh boy, here we go. Here comes Bobby Lashley again, like oh. But if they put on a banger of a match, I'm gonna look at it and go, shit, damn, I was 110% wrong. That was a crazy awesome match.
Right.
I don't understand why, and I don't think it has anything to do with, ooh, new shiny great over here, and oh boy, seeing that every month over here.
Maybe
I don't think it's that. I'm tired of seeing Randy Orton. Yes, he's been around for fucking ever, and it's time to push somebody new instead of Randy Orton. But if Randy Orton goes out there and puts on a banger of a match, I'm going to look at that and go, whew, okay, well, Randy Orton's been, he's been around a while, and I'm a little tired of him, but damn.
Well,
he killed it in that match.
Real quick, Tom, that's something that I was going to point out too, is that AEW is great at really hearing the fans, picking up on the groundswells, and going with it. I don't think Orange Cassidy was destined to be a main eventer when he started with AEW, but they saw how the fans connected with him, and boom, here we are. He's had like 3 or 4 main events, and he's impressed on all of them. Jungle Boy.
So do you think AEW listens to the fans and WWE is tone deaf?
I do, 100%. When you have to pipe in your own crowd noise because you are worried about how the live fans are gonna react to your own shit, then yes, you are tone deaf to the literal definition.
Well, fair point.
That's it, man. It's the wrong people. How often do we see, like when Kevin Owens first came up? And I think he beat Cena once, and then Cena beat him like 3 or 4 times in a row, and that was that. Like, how often is it a guy that we look at, man, they can't go wrong with X, Y, or Z, and then they get buried after like a month, and we're like, well, so much for that, and we see Roman Reigns or Randy Orton or, insert fucking legend here. Like, even Edge, man. Like, I love Edge. Do I think he deserves the title? Hell no. Hell no. Would I pop for one last Edge run? Maybe, if it's done right. But, like, at the end of the day, I want to see WWE go with the ebbs and flow of the audience and how people are reacting. And I think AEW does that a lot better because they have their finger on the pulse versus Vince, who is like, we create our own pulse.
Yeah, and to Ransom's credit, I agree with you 100%, Ransom, in the fact of when you said, it doesn't matter where the wrestling comes from. If it's a good match, you'll compliment it, and which is point proven. Whenever after we got done watching the Backlash pay-per-view, you even said it, like, match of the night, Roman Reigns and Cesaro, like, go back and watch it. The triple threat match from Lashley, Strowman, and McIntyre was also a really good match. Just a little bit under the Universal title match. So I mean, we'll give credit where credit's due, but we're gonna shit on it where it's deemed necessary as well. So with that said, Ransom, if you have to criticize one thing from Double or Nothing, we'll get the negative stuff out of the way first. What's something that you would say you didn't like about Double or Nothing?
I don't know that I would say that I didn't like. I didn't particularly like something. I liked it all, but I think the women's title match was a little underwhelming. I didn't dislike it. If I would go back and rewatch this entire show, I wouldn't skip it. I would still watch it. But I think Beef said it best, and I'm sure he can expand upon it, is that those were 2 phenomenal women wrestlers in that match. But sometimes you can put 2 phenomenal women wrestlers, or you can put 2 phenomenal wrestlers at all. It doesn't have to be any specific gender. You can put 2 phenomenal wrestlers in the ring at the same time, and sometimes they're just not going to mesh, or
right.
All the cogs aren't going to line up, and it's not going to flow smoothly. And I feel like that's what happened with that match. I think it was still, a very well done match, and I didn't dislike it, but it was probably the lowest on my ranked matches for the night. As far as something I disliked, really, I can't say that I disliked much. or
So-
if anything.
You know, it's funny. Like, we all kind of came out of the room with the same opinion on that women's match. Like, it was good. It needed a couple of extra tiers, but like, it's been roundly praised. So I'm wondering if maybe our expectations were too high, or if maybe we weren't dialed in enough. I think I have the rebroadcast. So I'm gonna go back and watch it. But like I wonder if, because I remember the first part of the match being kind of sloggy, and not really connecting. But then I remember the last 5 minutes being outstanding.
Yeah.
So I wonder if maybe we didn't give it a fair shake.
Maybe.
For me,
I was gonna say I wanted to real quick. I wanted to because I'm not gonna take very long, and I think I know what Beef is gonna say is his dislike for the night. So I'll agree with Ransom that was like, of the matches, that was probably like the one that like I enjoyed them all, but of them all, that's probably the one with just as far as the match quality that I enjoyed the least. But the outcome I absolutely loved. I'm so glad to see Britt Baker get her. So big congratulations to Pittsburgh's own Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. And yes, I just did the finger point as I punctuated DMD.
Tawny's own.
Yes. Well, Pittsburgh's own. She's built from Pittsburgh. She's Pittsburgh's own. Well, potato.
Hey, as a Central Pennsylvania guy, born anyway, I will give Central Pennsylvania as much credit as I can when I can. So
we're gonna call this the Clearfield Pile Driver podcast now?
Yeah.
Damn it.
No.
Beef.
Go ahead, Tom.
What's your business?
So, I mean, for me, it's a no-brainer. From bell to bell, from the beginning of the push to the awkward promo, like to the completely everything out of nowhere. Cody versus a Go-Go just missed on every single mark.
There it is.
And it's tough to say like that they missed the entire mark, but like every other match is out here hitting triples and home runs, and like Cody versus a Go-Go was striking out the side. Boy, was it bad.
That's the only match that I was. That's the only match that I would say I had a problem with booking wise, as far as the outcome of like really, like why have Cody go over? Like that was my biggest gripe as far as booking goes.
The only thing I liked about the match was Cody working the hand of a Go-Go. Like, he's a fucking boxer. You work his hand. Smart wrestling. And I love Cody. This is what's infuriating. And this is what takes me back to fucking 2002. Like, I loved Triple H. Fucking metalhead. Check. Badass. Check. Let me go T. Check.
Bangin' Stephanie. Check.
But I mean, like, when you're consistently known to be in the ear of the boss, or in this case, are the boss, and you consistently are the victor, man, that gets the stink to high heaven real quick. The whole thing was shoehorned in, man. Cody being like, for one night, I'm going to be the American dream. And it just happens to be on the eve of Memorial Day. And I'm going to wear the red, white, and blue. And I'm going to have sparklers in my ass and a fucking ball rocket in my crotch.
Oh, God.
And fucking Eagles are going to carry me to the ring. And, when my baby comes out, she's going to be Miss USA right away. Like, there was just so much, like, boom, boom. And, I mean, here's the thing. Had a Go-Go won, it would have been a perfect mirror to Rocky, which, while not the finest thing in cinema, has a very good cult following, and would have made sense, and would have made a young guy's career, and would have capitalized on an honest-to-God athlete, an Olympian, for fuck's sake, and made him, and just nothing, man. Like, Cody won, crickets. Nobody cares, Cody.
Yeah, that was a pretty flat match as it pertained to crowd reaction. That was probably the quietest I heard the crowd all night long. They just didn't seem into it.
And everyone's like, "Oh man, they're tired. Oh, you can tell the audience is tired." No, they popped real big for Britt Baker winning. They love the Omega match. Stadium Stampede was a big round success. If they were tired, they would have been sitting on their hands for those 3 matches. Cody versus Ogogo stunk. The crowd wasn't tired. It stunk. And let's be real, everybody's getting real sick and tired of seeing Cody win.
So. Yeah, and I'm gonna agree with you there because I went back and I rewatched the awkward promo that he gave.
Yeah.
Oh, if there was a cringeworthy moment ever in AEW, I'm not sorry to say, it was the Cody promo.
Which one?
Oh, the one where he went on and talked about having like him and Brandy are having an interracial baby. And blah, blah.
Yeah.
Into it.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, do you not know who you're facing in this match?
Yeah.
Is that not what are you doing here?
Yeah.
Like you're really. Oh, I mean, if there was ever a time where AEW was tone deaf, I feel like that's it right there.
Plus,
like you're either
fucking.
Shut up, that's not done.
Oh,
you're either supremely tone deaf, or you're really trying to capitalize on. You're trying to capitalize on the emotions of a riled up country at a time where you really shouldn't be trying to capitalize.
I think that's
on something like this.
Yep. I think you nailed it with that second point there, because of the fact that we knew that the pay-per-view was going to be on the eve of Memorial Day, and chase the American dream regardless of what color your skin is, and blah 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 blah. I think you nailed it there.
Man, like right now, trying to drum up patriotism is not the right move. And if you're going to do it, have your fucking heel be from fucking like Luxembourg, Germany, or fucking like communist China, or North Korea, or fucking Russia. Fucking what England, like the country that's pretty much handled the pandemic the best out of most everywhere in the world. You're gonna pick fucking England? Like right now, and I don't want to make it political. I really don't. But right now, a lot of people are not viewing the USA as the best thing in the world. So trying to drum up patriotism against an English guy, USA's sworn enemy, the English. I just there are so many questions I have as to why it happened, the timing, like who thought it was a good idea. I get that Cody wanted to be the American dream for one night and wanted to do his father's legacy proud and all of that, but man, the whole thing just felt shoehorned. It's like they're like, hey, this pay-per-view is the night before Memorial Day, right? Let's be fucking American. Like, the red, white, and blue running through my veins. Dun, 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 da, 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 dun.
No, wrong company.
I just don't fucking understand it, man.
Well, that's the most American thing you can never get there, brother. Strumming a guitar on a green screen superimposed in front of the Washington Monument. Big old dick boner for America.
Give Cody a couple years to get there.
What's that? What'd you say, Ransom?
Huh? I said sliced bread number 2.
Oh, there you go. Oh, man.
Yeah, this Cody, Cody needs to go away for a while.
Just not win for a while.
He was, I don't know. Like Beef said, I like Cody. I like Cody Rhodes. I like the way he wrestles. I like how he does promos. But if there's something that I could criticize within AEW on a fairly consistent basis, it would probably be Cody Rhodes. And from what he's doing here with this Memorial Day, bringing in race, blah, 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 American Dream thing. Oh, tone deaf is all hell terrible. What do you do with the TNT title? Constantly winning. You'll get there someday, son. Giving the young kid a tassel on the head like, good job. You almost beat me, the wily veteran, but you'll get there someday, kid. You keep shooting for the stars. And it even goes back to the whole, pot shots at WWE and Triple H, smashing the throne. Don't get me wrong. At the time, I jumped out of my seat and thought that was the greatest thing ever. I'm like, stick it to him. Stick it to that fucking big-nosed Triple H motherfucker. You get him, Cody. Get him. But the more I look back on it now, it's like there's a pattern here, and there's a pattern of probably questionable to poor decision making, and it all seems to revolve around Cody Rhodes.
So, and there's something else that I forget who it was that brought it up when the event was on. Going back to the booking of stuff, kind of leading up to it. You know, look at what's been going on. You've had Anthony Ogogo as part of QT Marshall's factory faction there. So Cody already beat QT Marshall. I'm sure they've already had dust ups with the other members of the factory. If they haven't already, now it's pointless because Cody's beat QT Marshall. He's beat Ogogo, who's been like the heavy featured hand. So now what legitimacy does the factory have? Like, who fucking cares? Cody just beat you guys. We don't give a shit about you now. Like,
legitimacy against Cody, nobody.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's just, you know, I don't know. It just doesn't make sense from a booking standpoint. I don't.
The factory is going to have to move on to somebody else. They can't keep feuding with Cody,
right?
Because you beat their two biggest, hardest hitting guys. You can't do it,
right?
But the factory's only existence is to be a thorn in Cody's side, because and I don't know how much you know about them, but the factory was Cody Rhodes' students at the Monster Factory, Cody's school,
right?
And storyline wise, QT like swooped in and said, "Hey guys, you're with me now." Har har har. Like, now that Cody's pretty much, like you said, put QT to bed, and now Ogogo, it's like, well, guess we failed. It's like the Dungeon of Doom. Once Hogan beat the fucking Giant, everyone's like, well, so much for a fucking Taskmaster.
Exactly.
See you later, the fucking shark.
Exactly. Shark.
Like, I want to believe that it's a big fucking 2-year slow burn, heel turn. Like, I want to believe that Cody is cognizant and conscious that he is becoming what he hated. I want to believe that so badly, but I don't. I don't think Cody understands that he is becoming the new Triple H. And I'm sure he would probably argue to hell against that. Well, I don't have a title anymore. How could I'm not putting myself over for 3 years.
I could never challenge for the world title, Yeah.
But you are, though. That's the thing. You are. Like, Triple H was kind of the gatekeeper to the main event. Booker T, RVD, both guys who stepped to Triple H. Kane, who stepped to Triple H and failed ultimately, but then went on to have main event careers, because they fared so well against Triple H. Look at Cody, fucking Eddie Kingston. Ricky Spanish. What the hell's his name? Ricky Starks.
Ricky Spanish?
That's what Brittany calls him all the time. He fucking
oh my god. The bad thing is there actually was as soon as you said Ricky Spanish, I was like, wait a minute. Like, that's a streaming person that I know.
So. Oh, it's American Dad. It's Roger from American Dad. His best persona ever.
Roger's personas. What an amazing show.
Anyway, I can't confirm. But yeah, I mean, like, all of these people like came real close to beating Cody, and he's like, "Good job, kid." And now they're like big time players. So like, it's so frustrating because again, I want to say to myself, because you remember when he was TNT champion, he held that belt and he started acting real cocky. Like, Arn Anderson got in his face and was like, "Listen, man, you got to start, wrestling smarter." Blah blah blah, and that just all kind of evaporated. Like, nothing ever came of it. Cody never returned heel. And I'm like, maybe it's still forthcoming. I don't know. But it just, that was the only thing that I have any problem with at Double or Nothing. The only thing.
Right.
So let me ask you this. This has nothing to do with Double or Nothing, but since we're still talking about Cody, I want to get your one last opinion on this. Both of you.
Okay.
Do you think that Cody doing what he's doing and doing what he's been doing is more helpful or more hurtful? Because sure, maybe, he's a little tone deaf sometimes. He's taking some unnecessary pot shots at WWE, constantly putting himself over, blah, blah, blah. But like Beef said, he's kind of the gatekeeper to the main roster. A lot of the guys that he's put down in matches have gone on to become main eventers on the AEW scene. So is what he's doing at this point, if you had to pick one, more helpful, more hurtful?
I don't think I can personally pick one. I think it's one of those to be determined. Like it's what he's doing. It depends on where it goes afterwards. Like with Ricky Starks and everything like that. Like, yeah, it was helpful. But if you, I know, right? But if you, but looking at like QT Marshall and the other members of the factory, if they don't do something with them and they don't move them on to another feud and don't find something for them and feature them, then it's all for nothing. So I hate to say it, but it's a little bit of both.
Damn it. Bad job of following directions, but okay, B.
Hey, that's all right. That's what I do.
I don't see anywhere where he's helping the company.
Wow.
Outside of his skill in matches, which he's amazing, Cody's great, and he has a very charismatic promo, minus the one before the forced one. Like he gets it. He's a guy that has the entire package. Again, much like Triple H, a guy who understands wrestling, who understands how to work smart, not hard, but can work his ass off. So he's a great hand, as they say. But like him constantly not putting over people is going to be a big fucking problem. Because at the end of the day, when you have guys like Jungle Boy, who challenged Cody and lost for the TNT title, let's say that he eventually wins the AEW title, Cody can then say, hey, remember whenever I beat you, kid? Like, it's just, I don't know, man. I just feel like as a wrestler and as a personality, and even as like a social media ambassador and a guy who's out there doing the fucking like other shows and shit, Cody's great for the company. But like booking wise, him, and I don't know that he's making those executive decisions to go over, but I can't help but feel like it. So like that is doing nothing but hurting the company. Even for example, whenever Taz's kid Hook turned on Cody, like Taz brought him out and said, "Hey, this is my kid Hook. He was with Cody. Now he's gonna be with me because screw Cody." Like that went nowhere. It's like, what's the fucking point of announcing him as somebody that Cody was training if that's not gonna come up again? I don't know, man. Like I do love Cody Rhodes. I definitely do. I think he had a strong career after WWE, but right now, outside of his actual performance in matches, he's hurting the brand.
Okay. So, now to switch gears a little bit. I know we've said that we enjoyed the pay-per-view as a whole, top to bottom. Give me something, give me one thing that really stood out for you, Ransom, across the whole show, if you can.
Oh, absolutely, I can. Everything, air quotes, everything.
Yeah.
Was pretty amazing in this show. But when I look back on it, I will see a tie in the two best things that I saw in this show. And my rationale for this is because we consistently bitch about WWE doing the exact opposite of what AEW did in these two things.
Okay.
First off, Jungle Boy winning the Casino Battle Royale. It came down to Jungle Boy and Christian. If that would have been within a WWE pay-per-view, I guarantee you, with as much certainty as I can muster, that Christian would have gone over. Because it's Christian. Everybody knows Christian. Finally, at last, he's on his own. He would have gone over in that match. Not the young guy, not the young kid, not the kid that needs the push and the rub from Christian, which is what AEW did. AEW had to come down to those two guys.
Yep.
And for a moment there, I really thought, They are giving it to Christian. They're absolutely giving it to Christian. And then Jungle Boy wound up winning the damn thing, which is, hey, AEW thinking toward the future. Christian's not going to be around forever. Christian's not going to be the guy that beats Kenny Omega. And people look at that match and go, oh, shit, I wonder who's going to win this, Christian or Kenny. You know who's going to win that match. It's obvious. Christian's an old dude. He's been around. He's great, but he's not the future. That moment right there ties with Sammy Guevara getting the pinfall victory in, the Stadium Stampede match. Because again, it could have gone to Jericho, the greatest of all time. And if this Stadium Stampede match again would have been within WWE, Jericho would have gotten that pin. It would have came down to Jericho and MJF in the middle of the ring, and Jericho would have won it. But nothing again against Chris Jericho. This is AEW looking towards and planning towards the future. It's them thinking long term. Hey, Chris Jericho's the GOAT. But is Chris Jericho going to win back that AEW title belt? Probably never again.
Yeah.
They featured Sammy Guevara as the person that got the win in that match. After all the stuff that's happened with Sammy, he's paid his penance, he's paid his dues, he's back on top. That is such a smart thing that AEW did, letting him get the victory instead of Jericho, because they're looking towards the future going, Sammy Guevara is one day going to be the champion of this company. He's the one that's going to be putting butts in seats. He's got longevity. He's super impressive. We're going to give him a push. We're going to give him the rub. Two things right there that WWE consistently does not do that AEW did an amazing job of at Double or Nothing. End of speech.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Those definitely stayed out to me. I had already mentioned Britt Baker winning, and just because I was finally happy to I was happy to see her finally get what I felt that she deserved for a little while now. I mean, I feel like it was like one of those things that was a foregone conclusion that eventually was going to happen, and I'm glad that she finally got it. So there's that. I would say I was definitely very happy with the Stadium Stampede match. That definitely stood out to me. Like, not for just the reason you said, but everybody's performance in it was really great. The stuff between Sammy Guevara and Shawn Spears, whenever they did the whole thing and he's sitting there just tap with the chair and everything, like opening into that was great. And then like fucking parkour Sammy, that was awesome to see. The heavyweight title match, the triple threat match between Omega and Pac and Orange Cassidy was so well done. There were legitimately times towards the end when I really thought they might give it to that Kenny could possibly lose it. And even though, like, in my heart of hearts, I was like, no, there's no way they're going to do it. There was a part of me where I was kind of like, oh shit, they might. Tonight might be the night. It was one of those things where they really brought me out of being a smart mark and really had me fanboying out and was like, oh my God, like what's going to happen? So good job to AEW. I commend anybody. I commend any organization when they can do that with the work in the ring and the story that they tell through their physicality in the ring, just the way that everything is laid out there. If you can have me second guessing myself when I'm so sure going into it what's going to happen, good job for you. So I feel that they did a really, really fantastic job with that. What say you, Beef?
Don Callis. Shit.
I think it's amazing that we have all picked different things that was amazing about Double or Nothing, and we're all right, in my opinion, which is fact.
Easy there.
Well, no. I think we're all right because we're all right.
Well, I was saying that your opinion is fact.
I think everybody's opinions are fact here. So for me, the opener was an absolute firehouse, man. Like, that was bell to bell, probably the best singles match of the night. All due respect
That
to
is
Miro
a bold statement, cowboy.
Swallow your food.
All due respect to Miro and Archer,
Shut
who
the
I think
fuck up.
had an
How about that?
amazing match.
Ho-ho!
I think that Hangman Page and Brian Cage had an awesome match with the sun setting and the ring being lit up like that. The crowd was hot. I mean, it was awesome, and of course, you know, it was a great match, great storytelling between the two of them. I'm intrigued to see where Cage goes after this, and Hangman Page is back in the #1 ranking. And then fucking Young Bucks doing Young Bucks things, man. Like, if there was a doubt in your mind that they are the best tag team on the planet, you better check yourself, because, all due respect to FTR, they've been awesome as part of the Pinnacle. But man, the Young Bucks continually go out there and put on amazing match after amazing match. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if they're facing FTR, if they're facing Moxley and Kingston, if they're facing the Varsity Blondes. Like, fuck, they could be facing, I don't even know. Like, name a jobber tag team, the Bushwhackers. They would put on a fucking clinic with them. I think that match. And I forgot to update my match of the year candidates, because I think there were a couple on this night. But I think that the Young Bucks versus Mox and Kingston was probably up there in terms of match of the year contender. But yeah, those are my two standouts of the night.
Let's not beleaguer the fact that is everybody else just imagining the Young Bucks versus the Bushwhackers.
Oh God, I did for a moment after he said it, and I'm like, oh no.
I'd pay all the money in the universe to see that.
Oh God. Well, Poot, we kind of already touched on it, but since you weren't here, I want to get your opinion. And thankfully you've made it out of that ditch. So what would you say? Give me the negative and then the positive. What would you say is one thing that you disliked or thought that AEW could have done better with Double or Nothing? And then give me something that you like that really stood out to you, something that that really, really impressed you for the whole night. Besides the whole card.
Oh, damn it. Okay.
I know, right?
Yeah, I seriously was gonna say that. Honestly, for me, it was the Bucks versus the Wild Things. Like, that was incredible. And they told such a great story, and it completely throws the baby out with the bathwater of the argument that Jon Moxley has. He has that lineage of what some people would call a mud show wrestler, motherfucker. But I think that was the highlight for me. It was so entertaining. It was so good. And then the negative, of course, it's Cody.
Yeah.
That's the negative.
We had about a good 10 to 15 minute rant about Cody as it were. So I'm not surprised to hear you say that.
No, it was just very tone deaf.
Yep.
It was tone deaf, and it was just stupid. And the wrong person went over. The end.
See, this is how much of a connection that the four of us have. Before Poot even got here, tone deaf was the word that was being thrown around, as it were. And that, you know what? I'm just applause to us.
Yeah.
To us.
Also, hi, guys.
Hi, Poot.
Hi, Poot.
Yeah.
I mean, Double or Nothing, obviously, right now is the show of 2021. So far, we still have All Out to come. We still have SummerSlam, and some more NXT happiness and fun times to come.
NXT in your house with Turd Purtenberg.
I have no doubt that it will be challenged.
WrestleMania, SummerSlam.
It's not WrestleMania, Backlash, Hell in a Cell, SummerSlam in your house. Slumber. Yeah, Slumber Slam.
What, you mean suspense in the fence?
Oh no!
Somebody tweeted that out, and I saw that. I'm like, that's perfect. That's it. There it is. WWE presents suspense in the fence. they're and Dominion's always a great show for NJPW. So
When is Dominion? Is that
it's coming up here real quick. I believe the main event is Okada versus Shingo for the currently open heavyweight title. By God, if fucking Okada wins, I riot. Like,
well, get ready to riot.
Fucking Shingo deserves that title.
Okada wins.
Listen, enough about Kung Pao wrestling. I have a question.
Wow.
I appreciate good wrestling, regardless of where it comes from. But here's an insensitive comment. Comment of ransom.
Oh, did I hurt your delicate little feelings with my insensitive comment? Oh,
no, Jagoff.
Easy, Alex Jones. Calm down.
I'm saying you're a hypocrite. You're like, I appreciate good wrestling regardless of where it comes from. Well, I'm telling you, fuck it, it's gonna come from New Japan. Like
yeah, man, I appreciate good wrestling. Things I don't appreciate, shut the hell up, Beef. I'm sick of hearing your fucking mouth flap. Here's what I want to know is, does Jungle Boy stand a decent enough chance at beating Kenny Omega for the AEW title?
Beating him? No. Putting on a great match? Yes.
No, because it's announced that Kenny is defending the title in 2 weeks on Dynamite. They're not going to drop it on a random ass Dynamite. If he's
defending it against Jungle Boy on that Dynamite.
Yes, in 2 weeks. When it's back to his normal time slot. So if he's going to drop it, it's probably going to be at All Out. We'll see how the summer progresses because he's got matches with Moose and Andrade before that for the Impact title, TNA title, and the AAA title respectively. So we'll see how the summer unfolds. To see what happens at All Out, but it could be that he may not even win it, lose it there. But yeah, no.
One of the things that we had talked about before, Beef, was the order in which Kenny Omega loses these belts. After having defended successfully the AEW title at Double or Nothing, do you still think that Kenny is going to wind up dropping the AEW belt first, or does that opinion change after having seen this event?
I think so that's still my opinion. I'm still saying that should be what happens. But given that he's going up against Andrade and Moose, I have a hard time. He may get past Moose with the help of the Good Brothers. I think he drops the AAA Mega title to Andrade because he's had it for like the last year and a half.
I think that's the first to go as well.
And I'm certain that they're probably looking to get that belt back in the fold to be defended on a more regular basis. And Andrade is a hot commodity right now, so I think it makes sense for Andrade to be the one to beat him first. I don't know that he'll lose to Moose. There may be some chicanery, but I don't think he'll lose to Moose necessarily at Bound for Glory. Is that what's coming up?
Bound for Glory.
So I think that may be yet to come, the TNA and the Impact titles. But honestly, the way the winds are headed, it seems like it may be in reverse order. Him losing the AEW championship may be the last thing that he does. So,
okay.
So,
the AEW championship being last makes sense. And can you just see once he loses the other two belts and he only has the AEW championship, he becomes like a wild man, just like clinging to it, like always holding it close to his chest and like being paranoid that like everyone's out to get him and just a desperate man at the end of his rope. You know what I mean?
That's what I said in the last podcast. That's what I said. It harkens back to the days of the paranoid rattlesnake.
Yeah.
Where, he was always thinking that somebody within the alliance was going to stab him in the back. And, it was either Angle with the ankle lock or Rock with the rock shooter.
Yep.
They had that submission locked in. And Steve Austin, he's not trying to reach for the ropes or anything. He has the WWE title belt in his hands and he's clutching it, gripping it, screaming, not letting go of that belt.
Yep.
I would love to see that kind of heel champion of Kenny Omega, just desperately doing anything possible to keep that belt in his clutches. I'd be all in for that. Oh, dude,
you just gave me whenever you were talking about that time period of Austin, you legit gave me goosebumps.
Yes.
I was like, oh man, that was so good. And Steve Austin, we know he can tell a good story and stuff like that, but seeing the rattlesnake vulnerable like that, that's exactly what it's gonna be like with Kenny, seeing him that vulnerable and scared and, just like always going to Don Callis and be like, Don, they're coming. And Don's like, Kenny, please relax. Like trying to calm him down, and like he has dark circles under his eyes and he's just manic. You know what I mean?
I love it.
Right?
Oh, that'd be amazing.
It hits all the right marks, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah.
So speaking of Andrade, he was not too long ago. He was recently future endeavored by WWE. And I know our very own Poot the Bard did a little bit of Fast Count news on some very, very recent releases within the last couple of days here. You want to go ahead and get into this, and let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Oh wait, hold on, real quick before you start on that, Poot, real fast. I'm sorry to interrupt, but this bears saying.
Okay.
Can I get a quick Fast Count news jingle here, real quick? Cut it. We, Poot, before you joined this podcast this evening, right at the kickoff of the show, I have some distressing news for you.
Uh-oh.
Comcast has recently picked up the contract of one Beef the Legend. And we, the remainder of the P3 podcast, have ourselves been future endeavored by the legendary one himself. It's a very dark day for us here.
They really wanted to keep you guys. They did. They told me how much, but I mean, your long-term contracts were just really hanging up the sales. So, good luck in all of your future endeavors.
Well, you know what? You know what?
The darkest day.
I've had a good run, and I appreciate it. And I was always happy with, how Mr. the Legend treated me, and Mr.
the Legend. That's my father. That's my father. Thank you so much. You can just call me Beef.
How dare you? I know Mr. the Legend.
Hold on. You give me 1 second. I'm gonna wind up for this. And also Discord is being super fucky. So, can you guys hear me? Do I sound okay?
Yeah, you sound fine.
You sound great.
Oh, great. Well, then never mind. Anyway, so yeah, speaking of which, now, hey, you know what, guys? Tom, Ransom, myself, you know what, guys? We're in good company because we have the likes of Aleister Black, Ruby Riott, Buddy Murphy, oh, damn. I had the other one,
Lana.
Yep. Lana and Braun Strowman. Now, the thing here, from a strictly business standpoint, I absolutely get it. Okay, I can understand because Strowman, when he renegotiated his contract, they were paying him, I believe, if I read it correctly, it was $1 million a year on the downside.
Yep.
Oh my.
Yeah. So he renegotiated when he knew his worth, and he was smart. Now, I can understand if they look and go, okay, you look at all the previous cuts, even from the people who work behind the scenes, people who were there for literally 30 years, that was their career. And then it was just literally one day they just go, hey, you're done. Unceremoniously, nothing, just you're done. And that's the kind of the way of the world, and it sucks. But if you see this giant wave of releases they've had lately, it's very telling, and it really does make Brian Alvarez, Beef? Brian Alvarez.
Sean Ross Sapp.
Sean Ross Sapp said that this really is convincing of a sign that WWE is going to be looking to sell the company. It really makes sense because they're making money hand over fist right now. They really are. They've turned a profit, and some better profits than they have in the past, some of their best ever. So if you see a standpoint and you see Braun Strowman, he has one of the biggest contracts. And if you look at the people who are up there with him, you look at the Roman Reigns. Between Braun Strowman and Roman Reigns, who are you going to get rid of?
Braun.
And I hate to say that because I like Braun. And he's done a lot to improve his attitude, his work ethic, and plus the way he looks. That man is a legit monster among men.
Absolutely, he is.
But then the thing that makes it confusing for the consumer, and this is where WWE is dropping the ball. You want to release your employees, knock yourself out, but do it whenever they're not being built for something. Like Braun Strowman just wrestled at WrestleMania Backlash in that three-way match, and I got to tell you what. That was one of the highlights, though. We talked about that three-way match with McIntyre and Lashley and Strowman. They all looked great. They got their stuff in. Strowman took that Michinoku driver.
Yep.
Like, you know, what big man in the industry that's as tall as him and as beefy as him can take a move like that, let alone having someone else who's able to give someone like that? It just... You have him in this big, high-profile stuff, and then all of a sudden you kick him to the curb. The one that makes less sense is Aleister Black. Now Tommy End, he like they were doing a really cool thing with this, with this Tales of the Dark Father, and building this character. And just last week, they had him come out and attack Big E Langston. They had him come out. It was like he was starting a promo with Big E Langston.
Right.
Like they were gonna pull the trigger and kick off this new version of Aleister Black that was actually intriguing. And like him wearing those glasses, I watched his live stream on Twitch where he talked about his release. And he talked about all the idiosyncrasies of this character that he's had. He said Aleister Black, the concept behind him was, what if the devil had amnesia? That was the concept for the character. So, and all these things he did with like his ring gear color and like the parts of that, and then his music, and then like the lighting, the way he spoke, he put the thought into that. So, and he said, I did all of this, and do yourself a favor, go watch Aleister Black's or Tommy End. If you go watch his Twitch live stream where he spoke about this, it's fascinating how, and he said, I did all this while being handcuffed. Imagine what I can do when I have no handcuffs. And
Yeah.
I was like,
right.
And then the other thing that he talked about was the idea of this new character and how they were just kicking it all off, and then out of nowhere, nothing. And what is Big E Langston supposed to do? I'm sorry, I'm calling him Big E Langston. What's Big E supposed to do? Is he supposed to just be like, oh, that was weird anyway? Like, how do you
Pretty
do
much.
That?
That's exactly what they're going to expect him to do.
Yeah, and
Or
like,
insert another heel here. You know what I mean?
And that's the problem.
It is
that like this shows WWE how much they think of the fans, not how much they value their opinion, but what they think of them. They think that they're gonna immediately forget, like, and not even like a couple weeks down the road when everything kind of equalizes out a little bit and comes back to a center point. But literally this week, this Friday, they're going to expect you to just forget. Like, and it's ridiculous. It's insane. The only benefit from all of this is that we are going to get to see what Braun Strowman can do on the indies. We're going to get to see, I am over the moon that Tommy End is going to be out there running around again. I'm hyped. Like, it was the same thing whenever Andrade got released. El Idolo. He gets to go out there and be him again. Really be him again. Like, you don't, like, this isn't a bad thing for the wrestling world. This is a confusing thing because, Lana, okay, no offense to Lana, she'll do fine. She'll probably go to AEW with Miro. Or she'll find something else to do. It'll be fine. She'll be great. Ruby Riott, wherever she lands, they are going to get a gem of a talent. She never had the.
I hope she goes to. I hope she goes to AEW because that's the one thing that we've said time and time again can use the most improvement in AEW. Having her go to that women's division, my God, that would be amazing for them.
That would be a huge boost.
It'd be a big win, and she has a really unique look. And
Yep.
she's literally, she's full of charisma, just overflowing with charisma. And you can't buy that. You know what I mean? And wherever she has some place where she's not kind of put under thumb, she's going to do great. Now, here's the big question, because for me, I would personally like to see Tommy End go to Japan, personally. I would like that. I think he would be a better fit now that AEW is expanding their shows. I think there's room for him. But the big one for me is, where do you see Braun Strowman going?
There was a article that was posted on the internet, and I can't remember who posted it. And again, internet, so take it or leave it. But it had a quote in there, and I don't know the exact quote, but it had something along the lines of Braun Strowman saying, when he leaves WWE, he's done wrestling. Now, maybe he gave that quote a while back, thinking, when I'm ready to retire, when I'm ready to leave on my own accord, I'm not going to wrestle anymore. I don't know if he gave that quote with any sort of anticipation of, they're going to future endeavor me and I'm done wrestling. I don't know when he said this or what his thought process was at the time. But I would tend to think, in my stupid little brain, that quote was based upon, when my contract is up, if I don't feel like renewing it and I leave, I'm done wrestling. I don't think that quote was given under the auspices of, well, if they future endeavor me, I'm done.
Also,
but,
auspices,
again, I could be wrong.
Great word. Great
like
word.
it.
That was a $10 word, Ransom.
But I don't know where he goes. Really, I don't know.
He'd be a good foil for.
Strowman ends up.
He'd be a good foil for Moose, wouldn't you agree, Beef?
Yeah, I just
Do you think TNA would be beneath him?
I don't know.
Or Impact, whatever it's called.
I don't know that Strowman's heart is in wrestling. I think it was a right time, right place kind of thing with him in WWE.
Right.
And if you go back, Strowman's done a lot of burying of indie guys, especially over the pandemic. Evil Uno being one that he buried pretty hard about good luck getting work and all this other stuff. Yeah, so one of my least favorite lines in the WWE 2K video game series is fucking Jerry Lawler spouting off this line 87 times a match. Keep your words soft and sweet. You may have to eat them later. Like, this is a perfect example of that. Open mouth, insert foot. There's no room for him in AEW. None. I don't think they want him. I don't think they need him. TNA,
because of what he said, or because of his work ability?
Both, I think. Plus, I think word is out that he's a pretty toxic guy. That his attitude in the locker room is that he's a pretty big ego. So they don't want that. They don't need that. TNA will probably take him if they can get a good deal. I think he'd make a lot of sense in Japan. If Braun Strowman went to Japan and really kind of cut his teeth over there,
just a big ass gaijin.
Yep, I think he'd be a big top gaijin in no time.
Do you think there's any possibility of him trying to transition to UFC?
I was thinking that when after we just mentioned the quote there, I was thinking, I'm like, well, does that mean that he said he's done wrestling? Does that mean that he's gonna go to UFC? Like, I don't know.
None.
You don't
think he'd make an attempt for that?
The greatest athlete of all time, Michael Jordan, trying to cross sports. He was the greatest basketball player of all time, and I think one of the greatest, if not the greatest athlete of all time. He went to MLB. The Chicago White Sox picked him up immediately, and he was trash, just utter trash in baseball. my point here is that it's apples and oranges. Like, MMA is not at all wrestling. Braun Strowman is not conditioned. Braun Strowman, sure, he has size, but we don't know if he can actually, like, hit somebody. We don't know if he's actually got any pain tolerance. So, no, yeah.
I was gonna say because he did it before he started wrestling.
Did he? I didn't know.
Well,
that.
no. What I'm gonna say. The reason that he got out of it was he was competing. He had his pro card. He was a strongman.
Yes.
And I wouldn't mind now that he's made his money. If he was smart with his money, he could easily go back to competing, and he would absolutely get an invite to like the Arnold or the World's Strongest Man. I could see him doing that.
Yes, because I think that's where his heart is.
Yeah.
I think that's what he wanted to do. Like I said, WWE was just right place, right time. Black, I think, is more of an enigma. Tommy End. If there was still a UK indie scene, I'd say he'd probably end up there. But
Progress.
That's about it.
Progress tweeted about him, about his release.
Oh, did they? Interesting.
They said, "Oh yeah." They basically said, wherever he lands, he's gonna be the guy. Like they basically were like.
And now that him and Thea Trinidad are married, I think they're married.
They've been married for a while.
For a while.
Like he's probably not too keen on going back to the UK. So I mean, Japan makes sense, but again, it's about the two of them now versus just him. So, I mean, AEW makes the most sense for Black. Honestly, I think the person who had the most success at Impact would be Ruby Riott. I think that their women's division is a little step above AEW's, and I think that she would be a fine set piece for them. And Lana. I would love to see her back with Miro on AEW.
Yeah.
If she does, she does. If she doesn't, she's going to be successful regardless of what she does. Because here's what I'll say about Lana. Like, for the past 7 months, they've been handing her a big old slab of turd sandwiches. She's been eating them and smiling, man. Like, she's been going out there. She's been doing her job. She's been working hard. She's getting better. Like, so she's become more than just a piece of eye candy. She's becoming an honest-to-God wrestler. So, unlike Eva Marie, which, thank God they had the money to bring back Eva Marie after all these fucking people. Samoa Joe, we don't need him. Aleister Black, get rid of him. Fucking Braun Strowman, let him go. Eva Marie, bring her in. Let's go.
Well, we'll see. I mean, like we just said, they had this build up with Aleister Black, and then all of a sudden, future endeavored. So who knows? They could turn around and get cold feet and say, well, we still need to make more cuts. Okay, fucking Eva Marie, you're gone.
Then again, they could have brought in Eva Marie for a hell of a lot less than any of these people that had previously been released. So
that too
might not be a big hurt for them to keep her if she's not getting paid a big buckload of cash.
What if Tommy Young goes on the Indies and goes all dead everything?
Oh God! All right. So you touched on it, Poot, and I kind of want to expand on it here. It is also something. Sure. It was also something that I can't remember who sent it in the group chat, but talking about whether or not it's being speculated that WWE might be looking to sell the company, and I wanted to bring up some points. I watched a video from WrestleMania over on YouTube. So if anybody wants to search it out, go search it out. It's probably one of their latest videos, but I think I think it says something about why Vince would want to sell or anything like that. And I want to bounce some stuff off of you guys here and get your thoughts on them after. So, you had mentioned, Poot, they really have, WWE's been very profitable, especially during the pandemic. And it's not just because they made a whole bunch of these roster cuts to both performers and backstage, but you look at the Thunderdome and everything. They've still been able to put on a show, but not having to do the work of traveling the road and paying the road crews and stuff. Everything is there, in one place that they have to do it from. So, you take some cost factors out of that. Yes, you also lose some cost factors with the live event merchandise, but you still have the WWE shop, so they can still peddle their merch regardless. So if WWE is looking to sell, it does make sense with everything that they're doing, because the profit margin's been high. They've been cutting away some of their staff, like we mentioned, and some of it I'm gonna say it sucks for the people that it happens to. Nobody ever wants to lose their job, but it makes sense from a business standpoint that if they have a department of something that has 10 people in it and they can do it with half of that, well then it makes fiscal sense to do it. And and this isn't me necessarily praising or damning WWE, but just kind of laying it out there, just kind of putting out there what the what may the tea leaves may hold here. But if you think about it, it makes sense. You also kind of got to go with the trend of things, like wrestling, when it's popular, when it's not, this and that. The WWE has, they're kind of in the zeitgeist and everything with, being on Peacock and everything, maybe reaching out to some newer eyes and things like that. So they're kind of, it's kind of would be on an upswing. So if they are making all these moves to sell, it makes sense. And obviously, I think one of the biggest things would be Vince himself. If there's ever going to be a time when they would sell the company, you damn sure better believe that Vince is going to be the one to kind of want to oversee it and navigate the sale, because he's a big control freak. I don't think it's something that he would want done, once he's been ousted or after he would decide to step away, which, let's face it, we've said that'll probably, never happen. He'd probably die in the gorilla position before he ever steps down. But, it would make sense in the fact that if Vince were, if Vince and I'll say Vince and Company, if Vince and Company were to sell, he's built this legacy. Vince McMahon himself, he's built the legacy. This would kind of cement it, that he kind of, he took WWE from the ground literally up to this global phenomenon. And I mean, and what a legacy to leave if you're going to do it. And I mean, let's face it. I mean, there's been other times when we thought, they were down and out and stuff like that. And I mean, he's beat the steroid scandals. He beat WCW, etc. So I mean, if they are making all these moves and all signs are pointing to, to WWE selling, it kind of makes sense. It seeing the writing on the wall, it wouldn't surprise me. And I don't necessarily think that it's a bad move if they were to sell. But what do you think? I don't know. Just chime in. Go for it.
All right. I think it goes along the idea of, I'm not going to say much on this because it's just all speculation. You know what I mean? So I don't know. For me, it's the whole idea of, if they're thinking strictly business, it's buy low, sell high. They're turning record profits. They can show the numbers and they can say, look at how good we're doing. Pay us, sideways 8 money for this company, and it can all be yours.
And the numbers don't lie, and they spell disaster.
Well, and maybe whoever takes over for it will fucking make it better. Anyway, but when we're done on this topic, I want to digress back to Aleister Black, because Booker T opened his big dumb mouth, and we'll get to that.
Oh boy.
Beef, talk about selling. Do we got it? Do we know got it? What do we got?
I think it's going to happen. The tea leaves don't usually point the wrong direction. They have been cleaning house since WrestleMania. They made some inner office personnel changes. So I 100, and I've been believing that they've been shopping their wares since last year. If you remember the rumors right before WrestleMania came out about them trying to sell. and then the pandemic happened, and then everyone kind of goes, shit, what do we do? How do we fucking make it through this? And now that we're kind of sort of making it through it, things are getting back on track, including the company's plan to sell. It makes sense. The company's, I think, worth like $4 billion as of March of this year. And they'll probably get double that in the amount of a purchase. So I'm all for it because honestly, it couldn't get much worse. My only fear is that if they sell the company, that those interned employees that are McMahon's, like Steph, like Triple H, will not follow, and therefore NXT would be who fucking knows what. That's my only fear of this whole thing. Otherwise, it's all positives I see.
I would be, I guess personally, I would be surprised if they sold. Strictly from the standpoint of, you know, it's been said by us, it's been said by people who have insight. I won't say more insight because we have no insight. It's been said by people who have insight into WWE and into Vince McMahon. And, you know, Jim Cornette even said it, and, you know, we love to shit on Jim Cornette, but there are times where he says very accurate and salient things. And one of those things was Jim Cornette has said he very much doubts Vince McMahon has gone to a movie in the past God knows how many years. He very much doubts Vince McMahon has been to a grocery store. Like, wrestling is Vince McMahon's life. I would be shocked if he sold WWE strictly because that's Vince's life. What would he do if he sold the WWE? Like, just sit back and pump iron? Vince McMahon, is he going to sit around and enjoy time with his grandkids? No, I don't think so. I don't think he could survive that way. I think Vince McMahon would very rapidly go downhill and expire shortly after, because that's his life for the past, I mean, look back decades since he took over the WWE, since he took it over from his father, Vince Sr. Wrestling and the WWE have been Vince McMahon's life. So it would floor me, honestly, to see him sell the company, because that's who he is. Vince McMahon is the WWE. And even if he remained involved with it, he wouldn't have the amount of control, I don't believe, that he has now. And I don't know that Vince McMahon could do that, because when that is so much of your life from, you know, decades and decades of it, now suddenly you're going to sell it and do something else at the end of your lifetime. I don't see that from him.
Well, let's keep in mind, and yes, I 100% agree with you. It would be a Joe Paterno situation, in that, like, that's all that's keeping him going. Once that's gone, you know, boom, he's gonna be dead within a couple of months, likely. Maybe not. He's in good shape, regardless. Let's remember that Vince McMahon is, I don't know his exact title, but yes, he owns WWE, but he also sold much of his shares. WWE is a publicly traded company, and because of that, they have a board of directors. The board of directors is there to make sure that their stockholders are well represented. So Vince McMahon may want to drag his feet and not do anything, but at the end of the day, the board of directors is going to make that call. And it obviously, you know, it's a broader concept than that, controlling interest, etc. But all of that being said, I think at the end of the day, if, you know, the board of directors is like, hey, we're selling, Vince may not have too much of a leg to stand on.
I will say that's one thing in that WrestleMania video, what Ransom brought up about, like, well, what would Vince do after the fact? He's not the type to just kind of just sit on his laurels and, you know, just go fucking pound salt on his yacht somewhere. I mean, if he really wanted to, he's got a myriad of other things, that I think he could find to keep himself busy. I mean, I know that it's failed twice for him, but there is the XFL. I'm sure he wouldn't mind trying to revive that yet again. He's a very determined individual, you know. And I mean, and like I said, he's survived through a lot of other times when we thought WWE and him were down and out, or, you know, whatever. He's come through. He's a very savvy, very smart businessman. You got WWE Studios. I know. I know it's one of those things like, but I mean, maybe, I don't know. It's
Chaperone.
Well, See No Evil. I never saw that, but I'm assuming it's a lot better.
Beneath the Floor.
It's mediocre at best.
But better than The Chaperone.
Yeah. Oh, well, I mean, fucking any Manos, The Hands of Fate is better than Chaperone. I apologize if this was brought up while I was looking up those two lovely gifts that are in the chat for you faces.
Okay.
But Vince McMahon, next thing, he sells WWE and he goes, what do I do now? Vince McMahon goes into MMA.
Oh, God, no. Oh, fucking hell.
I just did a real quick cursory search, and Vince owns like 40.
I'm sorry.
43% of the stock, and so he owns like 83% of the controlling votes. So apparently he would be able to vote. But basically how Vince votes is how the company goes. Even though he only owns 43% of the stock, that's a weird fucking thing. But bottom line here is that
I can't.
It just makes good fiscal sense right now, because I think with the product being damn near an all-time low, their value being damn near an all-time high, I just like, I don't see
the problem
why.
there, Beav, is that you see the product as an all-time low. Does Vince see the product as an all-time low? I'm willing to bet he probably doesn't.
Or do his buyers do his buyers?
Well, and at the end of the day, like, I'm sure that potential buyers are looking at the buy low, sell high thing too. They're looking at it like, hey, man, Raw's bringing in like 1.5 ratings. Like, let's get in and jack that up, and then we can flip it and sell it for double what we're buying. Is it going to work? Who fucking knows? It could be a conglomerate that buys WWE. If it is, that muddles the thing even more. Who knows? It could be fucking Ted Turner.
But I mean, didn't we talk at one point too about how, like, Vince probably doesn't give a shit about the ratings at this point, as long as the cash is coming in.
Yep.
Like, as long as the money's coming in, who cares what the fans think about the in-ring product? Who cares what the ratings are? If their stock keeps going up and up and up, and their revenue keeps going up and up and up, and that's what all these releases could be. It could just be, okay, we're going to cut these big contract people because we're not going to, what are we going to use them for? Like, are we going to use them for anything? Are they going to be in a Keith Lee situation pretty soon?
Everybody else on that list,
look at Aleister Black, though. Look how long he floundered.
Everyone else on that list you can convince me of, but Strowman's the stickler. Like, Braun Strowman 1 year ago was the guy that bailed them out whenever Roman Reigns was like, I'm not going to do it. 2 days before WrestleMania, Strowman says, hell yeah. He's a former Universal Champion. Former WWE Champion, excuse me.
No, former Universal Champion.
Was the Universal? I can't remember. I can't keep this straight anymore. But, like, they've...
Yeah, because that was the title that the Fiend dropped to Goldberg, that Goldberg dropped to Strowman. Right. Yeah.
Less than a month ago, he was in a main event. You can't tell me that all of a sudden the winds have blown, and he's a Vince McMahon guy. He's a big, burly dude. There's no way that the wind suddenly blew the other way, and Vince said, "Let's get rid of him." If Strowman was not involved in these cuts, I would understand your point, Ransom, and say, yeah, it's a possibility. But with Strowman having a high value contract, having a long-term contract, and with everything, all the money and time that they put into Braun Strowman, making him a main eventer, like there's the only viable reason I see that they get rid of him, unless there's shit that we don't know, like political stuff or like, fucking like Me Too stuff. Unless there's shit that we haven't heard about yet, the only reason they would get rid of Braun Strowman right now is because they're getting ready to sell the company.
Wow. I mean, you very well could be right, but I don't know. Like, I guess when I look at Braun Strowman's release, that doesn't set off they're going to sell flags. If they let other high profile people go who have been multi-time champions, who have been constantly on top, who have, they have pushed and pushed and pushed. If this would have happened to Roman Reigns or Seth Rollins, or if Cena was still there, if this would have happened to Cena or Taker, like super big name guys, that's what I would have been like, oh boy, now shit's happening. But I don't know. I very well could be way off, and I'm not disagreeing with you here. I'm just saying that Strowman's release doesn't set off they're going to sell alarm bells.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think it's also, if you're not wrong in the sense, like, if they did do that to Roman or somebody else, like, that would be that would be like an automatic indicator. But like Beef said, when you have somebody that's got a high contract and a long-term contract, and who, yes, he had been featured as recently, as like the last month, like, not even a month ago or whatever, within this last month. I think it's a matter of they looked at the money that they were hemorrhaging on him, and then they looked and they said, are we really going to feature him? And if they didn't have a definitive yes, if they weren't going to catapult him into a Roman Reigns type of situation in the company, then absolutely they're going to get rid of him and make whatever room they can, money wise, So
yeah, it's like with him being in a title match too. I guess, I don't know. Maybe I don't put too much stock in it because it was a triple threat title match. Like, maybe Strowman was there to allow Lashley or McIntyre to rest at times. Maybe they thought that Lashley and McIntyre had been played out and it wouldn't be as interesting as if they would have been able to have a triple threat match where, three people were banging each other up and, bebopping around the arena. I don't know.
So let me give you an example, Ransom, because we talked about this very recently. When Moxley was on his way out, they did everything that they could to basically stick a fork in him. They made him look awful. I think he lost like 3 or 4 times on TV clean to Drew McIntyre on his way out.
Mm-hmm.
To basically disparage the guy. And yet, they're going to let Strowman go 2 weeks after he appears in a main event, looking good in a main event. He didn't look like shit. He didn't win, obviously, but he didn't. They didn't bury him. To me, like that. To me,
yeah,
that's just the. That's what's telling to me, is how they did business 2 years ago with the guy leaving versus how they do business now. That's what sends up the red flag for me. Not the fact, the fact that he was released was a big deal, but the fact that he main evented no more than 2 weeks ago, tells me everything I need to know. That basically they weren't anticipating on letting him go. Same with Aleister Black. That's why they had vignettes queued up. That's why they were putting this new interesting character, because they had a plan in place until something happened, until something changed, and they went, oh, all right. Lana is another example. She just wrestled on Monday Night Raw. Literally just wrestled.
You actually watched Raw.
So...
Yeah, but didn't they have other people that they have let go in the past who had just wrestled on like a Raw or a SmackDown or even a pay-per-view before they let them go? That doesn't seem that uncommon.
If you can find them, let me know, but it's pretty uncommon. Normally,
They usually keep them off TV.
Yeah, normally they keep them off TV, or if they're going to be on TV, like in Moxley's case where they were trying to get him to stay, but he didn't. Normally they'll, bury him as they're going out the door. That didn't happen with any of these people. Lana, I think, was in a fucking tag team title match a couple weeks ago. Like I said, man, like this just screams of like, okay, here's the plan for these people. And then, 2 weeks later, somebody goes, wait, no, we're changing our mind.
Yeah.
And I get that that's a Vince McMahon thing to do, to say, wait, no, I've changed my mind. But like, this is like some long-term planning shit. Because again, it's not like they just brought Aleister Black out of nowhere. They had him doing vignettes for the last month or so. So I that's what I'm saying. Like, this is kind of like out of left field. Something like happened to kind of like start the process.
Yeah,
so I think
some sort of catalyst, something facilitated the want or the need for these cuts.
Right. Otherwise, they would have just been off TV for the last 6 months.
Another thing that's going to be really confusing to me, especially with the acquisition of the Beef's Driver Beefcast to Comcast now, what are we going to do about Stump the Chumps? Because we won't have the 4-man brain trust that we have. What are we going to do?
Well, I, a little bit more fast count news for you. I actually just sent Comcast a message and told them that if I can't have you bums with me, then the deal's off. So that's just how much I love you guys, because you guys are my family. And if I can't have my familia with me, money means nothing.
Now, listen, that's a nice, mushy statement coming from him, but I don't want the other two of you to buy in to this propaganda nonsense. Let's face it. I think.
Oh, I know.
I think Comcast saw the writing on the wall. Like, they probably took a look at the P3 podcast and went, "All right, we're going to give this guy his own show. He's going to need some foils." I think it was smoke and mirrors. Honestly, I think it was smoke and mirrors. I think Beef was doing this to get himself some sort of a rub or to get a bigger cut of that $49.99 coming in. Like, I think it was a strategy.
You know nothing, Ransom. You shut your whore mouth. All right.
See, right there, there.
So,
I think he was trying to get that money to send him to the moon. You know what? We took it graciously. We didn't beg to go along with him. And now all of a sudden, once, the three of us were like, well, we appreciate it. We did it. We did as far as we can go. We appreciate everything you've done for us. Now suddenly he's turning tail and going, well, I told Tomcast, like,
I will say this.
Don't let him fool you. That was a strategy.
Yep.
I will say this. Projections have the Beef coin outperforming the Doge coin in 6 months. So we'll see.
Coinbird.
Anyway, so
if that's the truth, I'm a rich man.
Speaking of Stump the Chumps,
before we do that, I want to mention what Booker T opened his mouth about Aleister
Oh yeah,
Black.
yeah, please do.
Yeah,
really quick. So Booker T, came after Booker T. He came after and he criticized Aleister Black for what he said about his time on the main roster, which Aleister Black or Tommy End was very, very gracious. He was, and he spoke frankly. But he overall was happy with his time there. He was. It was very pragmatic, and more power to him. And I think he's a very smart man to do that.
Or $10 words, pragmatic.
Oh,
So
thank you.
what did Booker T say? I missed it.
Booker T said, and I quote, "You can't." This was when he was speaking on something that Booker T does. He said, "You can't quote. You can't give a guy intro, right? Not an intro, but intro. You can't give a guy intro. Give him a black gimmick, a dark robe, and go out there and become a star." You know, you put him on that thing, mimics Aleister Black's entrance. The thing is, it did look cool, but understand you can't just get that gimmick and think because of the smoke and mirrors you're going to get out there and get over. Aleister Black is a good worker, but I'm looking for a guy that's quote-unquote talent. I'm looking for a guy that's going to go out and do things totally differently than everybody else on the roster. Aleister Black and his MMA getup, his kung fu karate black mask for the finisher, I get it. But for me, Aleister Black was a guy that didn't set himself apart from the rest of the guys in the locker room. Booker T, you are all of the incorrects. Every last one of them. Any incorrect that's ever happened in the world, you were wrong. You're wrong. And I understand. Sure, I'm biased because I really like Aleister Black and Tommy End. Like, I really do. But, like, to me, that's just kind of erroneous.
Yeah.
He had a presence. He worked that character. And if you listen to him talk about his character, the amount of, like, Easter eggs that he put in there was incredible.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Listen. I just got done watching the Booker T biography from the A&E series that have been going on, and you know I respect everything that he's been through and the fucking the hardships that he's had to go through. Absolutely, I'm not going to take that away from him at all. But I will say this: if that's really what Booker T is thinking right now, he is smoking all the crack that he probably used to deal back in the day.
No.
If he thinks that opinion is right, holy fuck, is he so wrong? Like,
You know what?
I'm sorry.
Like, that entire diatribe feels like it was written on stationery at the top that said "from the desk of Vince McMahon," which is weird because Poot's 100% right. Tommy End didn't disparage WWE.
No.
He didn't come out and say, well, they kept me on the fucking bench for fucking 6 months because they had nothing for me. He didn't come out and say, they grossly misused my talents. He didn't do any of that. At the end of the day, he said, hey, I'm thankful for what it was. Now it's time for the next adventure. So, it's weird.
That's what everybody's done. Everybody that just got released has done that.
Yeah. So it's weird that, they would single one person out. But make no mistake, Booker T's a company shill. Shucky Ducky Quack Quack ain't gonna sell fucking tickets. But you know what? Vince McMahon's gonna pop every time he does it, so it's gonna earn him a fucking steady paycheck.
Yep.
So it would not shock me at all if that was a fucking company line that they fed Booker T, and Booker T was like, all right, I'll say it, whatever. Because... I don't like Poot said, I don't buy it. That, none of that is fucking true. That is just the fucking brass ring talk that started Cesaro and Kid's team. That's the kind of shit that Vince McMahon says as a rhetoric. Somebody does it, and then he goes, "Oh, I didn't mean you." Which, by the way. Did you know that they stopped giving the brass ring talk after WrestleMania?
Yeah, we talked about that last
podcast.
Did we?
Yeah,
No.
I think. If we didn't, I know we definitely discussed it recently. I feel like we talked about it last podcast, but if we didn't, then there you go.
But quick refresher, is that because there were too many people that started reaching for that brass ring, and when they saw that nothing came of all of their efforts, they got demoralized?
It was because of Zack Ryder.
Okay.
Yeah, it was because he actually did reach for that brass ring. People wanted him. People were cheering for him, and it was undeniable. And they stopped giving that talk because they're like, "Oh shit, well,
we didn't expect you to actually believe that we mean things. Fuck."
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
But so we have it's been a minute. we do have a Stump the Chumps tonight.
Speaking of people reaching for brass rings, you viewers out there, you listeners,
from our boy, the Mid-Card Maniac.
reach for that brass ring. Get yourself on the podcast.
All right, so here we go. At the 1996 Royal Rumble, what wrestler earned entry by winning a battle royal in the USWA?
Oh, fuck.
Well, he's straight to the point with this one, huh?
Okay, then.
96 Rumble, huh?
So
yeah, that's a weird year.
So who won the 90s?
Who did what? Won a what now?
So, apparently to gain entrance into
When the where who?
1996 Royal Rumble, somebody won a battle royal in USWA. What wrestler earned entry by winning a battle royal in the USWA?
Okay, so let's think about this for a second. Who won the 96 Rumble?
Michaels?
Yeah, I think that was Michael's second to back-to-back.
Yep.
So, wait, Michaels won 95 and 96?
I thought he was 96.
Austin won 97, 98.
Yep.
No.
Michaels was 96, 97.
Yeah.
Yes. Austin was 98, 99.
Okay,
so that was Michael's first year, so that would have been before WrestleMania 11.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to say, so 96 Rumble, Michaels wins. Is that the year that he goes? You said that was right before WrestleMania 11, correct?
Yes.
So that would have been, is that Iron Man match or is that 12? I always forget.
12 is Iron Man.
Yeah, 12 was Iron Man, 11 was Diesel.
Okay. All right. I'm just kind of placing us in the zeitgeist around that time frame. So
97 would have been the one in San Antonio with all the like AAA wrestlers in it. So this is the year before that. I don't watch the Michaels Rumbles because, me and Shawn Michaels don't necessarily see eye to eye. Although he doesn't see eye to eye with many people anymore. Hi-oh!
Wow. That's a dick move. I think we might just fucking sell Beef's contract out to fucking Dish Network or something. I don't know. Fuck him.
Oh, not Dish.
Yeah.
So I
fuck it. We'll sell it to Armstrong. Go fuck yourself.
Poot, you are an HBK guy, and I know that you like the inaugural HBK Rumble win. Who do you think?
Was that the one with Skin the Cat?
Yes.
Had to be.
Yep.
Oh, boy, I'm trying to think who the hell was in there. See, the problem is with that one, of course, you just remember the iconic ending. Him and Bulldog.
Yeah.
Like, fuck. The rest of it. The rest of it is so mediocre.
Yes,
like that's the thing. It's the rest of that Rumble is super nondescript and mediocre.
Super mediocre.
I think that was the God Almighty, dude. You know how long it's been since I've watched that Rumble? So it's been a long time.
Okay,
I think we may have watched it 2 years ago.
So
if I'm not mistaken.
Here's my question:
What was the USWA? What was that?
Probably the
United States Wrestling Alliance.
Yeah, something like that.
I don't know where that's based out of, though.
They were like I think they were like a feeder system ish.
Yeah, but I'm saying like if that was something more in the southeast, southwest, central.
Sounds like southeast.
I was gonna. That was Pedro Morales. Get him, boys.
Pedro Morales.
Was that did Jerry Lawler? Was he?
No. Wasn't the Lawler.
Lawler was still on the books at that point.
What about Jarrett?
Jarrett?
Like
No, I'm not saying did Lawler win. I'm saying was Lawler involved in the USWA?
Oh no, I don't think so.
Is that one of his things?
No. No.
Here's a question.
Fuck, this is hard.
In the 96 Rumble, was it just one of the? I can't remember which one it was. Didn't Michaels came in at 1 or 2, didn't he? And
one.
Okay, which Rumble was that at? Was that at 96 or 97?
96.
Okay, so who did he start the match off with?
Bulldog.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yeah,
And then
they
they finished the match 2 together.
Okay. Well,
Yep.
fuck me. That doesn't help.
um
I'm racking my brain.
I keep wanting to say Barry Horowitz, and that's not right.
No.
Eddie,
I don't think it was Jarrett either, because I think Jarrett was around before then, because I think he
why
he
did
was.
like
I thought USWA was in Memphis.
it might
may
have been.
Which
But I don't think it wasn't Lawler. It was
Okay.
yeah, it wasn't Lawler. Because
No,
Lawler
I mean, Lawler didn't win his way into this Royal Rumble match. I'm not
Eddie. Yeah.
Who so tugging on that rope, Ransom, because you always have a weird way of untangling these kind of things.
Yeah.
Who were you thinking along those lines? If USWA was in Memphis and the King was involved with them?
Well, I don't think the King is necessarily a focal point here. I'm just trying to put together, like, who would have been involved in USWA that would have also been in the WWE for a cup of coffee in this Rumble match. Oh, good Lord.
I know when Jeff Jarrett showed up, he was like a title holder somewhere else.
He was the NWA.
Was he NWA?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Because he came out with Cornette.
Yeah, in the '98 Rumble, he came out as the NWA representative. He had the NWA belt, and he was with Cornette. But that was '98.
Man, this is why. Is Eddie Gilbert a thing?
I have no idea.
I don't know.
No, oh, you son of a bitch!
What?
You've done it again.
What'd I do?
You did it again. Eddie Gilbert wasn't a thing, but there was a Gilbert that was a thing. Doug Gilbert was a thing.
Get the fuck out of here! What? I've never even heard of that.
Who the fuck is Doug Gilbert?
He wrestled. He was in ECW for a little bit.
I thought that was Eddie Gilbert.
Maybe that was a different name of his.
No, Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert was his only gimmick, as far as I know.
Okay, but there was a Doug Gilbert who wrestled in ECW for a while too, and I think he wrestled in Japan as well.
This is the most random fucking jobber sounding name.
Are you trying to say that Doug Gilbert was the guy, Ransom?
I don't know.
Because with Poop pulling the name Eddie Gilbert out of nowhere and the way that you reacted, I know that you guys are the HBK guys on the show. So I'm sure that you would have seen these Royal Rumbles more than myself. So, like, if you guys are striking a chord here, I'm going to trust you.
Well, I was just trying to think, because those Rumbles during the mid-'90s were just packed with jobbers.
Rough to
just
watch.
packed with jobbers. Like, you know, like who was what was it? Wasn't Mil Mascaras in one of them?
Yes.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, Mil Mascaras was.
He was in '97 because they brought in all those AAA guys because they were in San Antonio.
Yeah, like, and that's the thing, is that, like, you know, Mil Mascaras eliminated himself because reasons.
Yeah, because he's a doofy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the man
character.
is like, the man was like 7,000 years old. God love him.
No.
Like,
so
we're getting the weeds here.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Ransom,
Sorry.
why did you pop on Doug Gilbert? Like, what?
The name sounded familiar. That's all. Like, the Gilbert name sounded familiar, but it wasn't Eddie Gilbert. Doug Gilbert sounded familiar. I know I heard him from ECW before, and it wouldn't surprise me if that was one of the names that I heard in that Royal Rumble.
I don't remember. I'm not trying to take this away, because we know Ransom does Ransom shit. You know, he's here to do Ransom shit.
Well, and what gets me is, you're normally, like, a lot of times you're like a half step away. You'll get like part of it, which will then like resonate with somebody, and they'll go, "Oh yeah, this." So it wouldn't shock me, because I don't think it was Eddie Gilbert. I don't.
No, the only thing is just like I can hear JR's voice in my head saying Eddie Gilbert. You know, it's like Eddie Gilbert. You know,
wouldn't have been around at this point.
Wouldn't he have? Oh, I don't know. Maybe he wasn't.
What was it, McMahon and the King?
He made a debut, JR did, at WrestleMania 9, but then he didn't do commentary regularly until WrestleMania 11, I think. So this, I think, would have been McMahon.
So this would have probably been Vince and Gorilla doing, or maybe even
probably McMahon and King.
Oh,
There was one that was like McMahon and like Jim Duggan. I think there was one that was like McMahon and Ted DiBiase.
Well, in any case,
this may have actually been the one that was McMahon and Ted DiBiase.
I was going to say McMahon and Perfect, maybe.
Regardless, I have no fucking idea.
I'm going to say that I have no freaking clue who it would have been, but the fact that it struck a chord with Ransom, I'm gonna go with Doug Gilbert as well. So if that's what Ransom's saying, I believe in you, Ransom. In Ransom, I trust.
That's what I'm saying. Like for Poot to just randomly like fucking like pull a fucking name out of the air like that, and Ransom to go, wait, not Eddie Gilbert, but Doug Gilbert.
We have nothing else to go off of.
Yeah,
I think if I'm piecing this together in the chaos, there's my brain. I want to say that Doug Gilbert and Eddie Gilbert are brothers, and I think they wrestled in ECW, not Extreme, but Eastern Championship Wrestling, and they were a tag team, and they won a tag team belt in Eastern Championship Wrestling, and maybe that's where Eddie Gilbert jumped out at me. But I don't think Eddie Gilbert was the one who won his way into the Royal Rumble. I think it was Doug.
I'm good with doing that.
I'm good with Doug Gilbert.
All right,
here we go.
Here for it.
If we lose this, it's on me, and I apologize.
That's fine. We haven't strung together enough to be champs yet again, anyway, so it's all right.
The Midcard Maniac says that his wife was happy to make her podcast debut last time he was on, but they probably won't hear from her again. The answer, holy fuck, is Doug Gilbert.
Woohoo!
Won the USWA Battle Royal to gain entry to the Royal Rumble. Jesus Christ, you two.
Somebody look him up. See if he was actually the brother of Eddie Gilbert.
Here, I'll look.
Jesus Christ, you two. You guys are...
That is amazing. That is amazing.
That is something.
Doug Gilbert, born February 5th, 1969. He wrestled for Jim Crockett Promotions, blah, 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 blah. He wrestled under the name under the name in GWF as the Dark Patriot. Let's see, 92, 93, blah, 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 blah. He returned to Japan, wrestled under the Freddy. He was Freddy Krueger in Japan in IWA. Let's see. In 96, Gilbert expanded beyond USWA into USWA, WCW, NWA, Mid-South, blah, blah, blah. I'm looking for the...
Yes, he is. Ransom. He is Eddie Gilbert's brother.
Oh, yeah. Tommy Gilbert, family. Tommy Gilbert and Eddie Gilbert.
Nice.
Yeah.
And they were, in fact, ECW champions.
Son of a bitch.
Wow. So we have one. We have the counter back at one.
Yeah, right?
Look at the two-man power trip here.
Yep.
Maniac, my boy, my friend, mi amigo.
Oh.
I love hearing from you, brother. It's great that we get these questions because you had me. And you know what? If this was Stump Beef, you'd win, brother. And even if it was Stump Beef and Tom, you'd have had our asses. But my dude, what you didn't count on was the brilliant minds of Poot and Ransom putting this one together. So for the first time in a long time,
I haven't heard this in so long.
So excited to say,
here it comes.
Midcard Maniac.
Hard.
Sultry.
You lose, sir.
Yes.
You get nothing.
Feels so good.
Good day.
My dick is hard.
6 to midnight. 6 to midnight.
A little bit of pre-cum. A little bit.
Guess what? Before we end, It is officially June. You know what that means.
Oh boy.
Hashtag Cruiserweight Open.
Yes, sir.
You want our belt? You want to come at the champ, Mr. Tiger Bomb Tom? Feel fucking free. We have 2 events coming up this month. We have NXT in your house next Sunday, and then we have Suspense in the Fence coming up at the end of the month. So that means that you have 2 opportunities. Real quick, as everybody knows, it's about the matches you get right. We are moving to a point-based system. I will give you more information. We will give you more information on that, outlining exactly how that's going to work. Suffice it to say, we are working out ties so that a certain someone can't keep holding the fucking belt
Here we go.
hostage.
Salty as ever.
But it also means that there's going to be less ties for you, the viewers. So we want your picks, Maniac. We want your picks, Bob Gray. We want your picks, Lucha Brothers. We are not Lucha Brothers. Dos Hermanos Lucha. I mean,
Wow.
Lucha Brothers. If you
Yeah,
want to get on
fucking
it
get
too,
the
hey.
Lucha Brothers on
Yeah,
here
get
too.
the Lucha Brothers
Why,
in. I'm in.
Why not? You know, we want your picks. If you have commented on one of our posts and said, "Here's my pick for Double or Nothing," and I saw that there were, I expect to see your picks for NXT in your house and Hell in the Cell. We want one of you fools to take this title from us.
Well,
I do. I want that.
Speak
I
for
want it.
yourself.
I want it so bad.
First of all, before anybody takes the title from me, I want to make sure that Bob Gray gets that son of a bitch mailed out to me because I would like to see it in person, up close
He
and
mails it
personal.
to Ransom.
That's fine as long as it gets
Ransom.
Jesus. As long as it gets to you or me, I don't care. But I would like to get it before the month of June is over.
The bottom line is we are in the hashtag Cruiserweight Open. It's open season. We will give you the guidelines. You have to listen to our shows so that you know when to post picks by. If your picks aren't in by deadline, disqualified. You could be a perfect, fucking 6-0 at TakeOver. You could have fucking 87 points. I don't know how many points that are going to be there. You could have all the points in the world, and we could suck fest. If you don't get your picks in for Hell in a Cell on time, you're out, brother.
Wait,
So-
would you say, Beef, if they don't get their picks in, what would you say that they lose and
They get nothing.
oh, there it is. Now I finished.
So we will keep track. We will post standings as we do, but you have to listen to our podcast to figure out when to post the picks by, what matches we're picking, and if you want some insight onto who we're picking and why, give us a listen. That's the breaks. And I'm sure we'll go over this too, but if you win the title, we got to see that representation on social media. We want to see a picture of you with the belt. You can add some bullshit to it if you want, as long as our logo is clearly visible on the middle of the fucking title. You can add your bullshit chicanery as long as we can remove it without too much of a problem. You do what you want. As long as we get a photo with you with the belt, we're happy. Those are the only rules. Otherwise, it's open season, boys.
Yep. Guidelines
All
for
right,
doing
I'll
the
tell you
picks.
this. Whenever freaking Bob Gray gets me that title, there's a caveat on whether or not our very own Tiger Bomb Tom will get his hands on that belt. And that's if whenever I listen to his Among Us streams on Casual Gaming Dad's sponsor, by the way. I'm sure Poot will get to that later. But I finished listening to this week's after Ransom departed, and the content that I do happen to provide to Casual Gaming Dad in the form of suggestive gameplay has dropped off the radar as far as the trademark names. We've been referring to it much more these days as the Vengeful Spirit and Open Mic instead of the trademark names which they truly are. So don't make me pull Shawn Michaels and hold that belt hostage on you.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, yeah. I don't do much well in my life, but the things that I do well, I would like to see them a little bit.
Listen, all I'm going to say is I'm moving a lot closer my vengeance will be a lot closer and a lot more dangerous to you than it is from Bethel Park.
Yeah, well, you might have a dangerous tripod, but let me tell you this: no match for the Beretta.
Hey, just remember, I don't have to be close enough for you to have the Beretta effect on me. I still got to go 300 to 500 yards away.
Oh, for goodness sake.
Look, I'm telling you, you don't want to go up against best friends. You don't want to go up against Ransom and Beretta. We're best friends, and it won't end well. We're an effective tag team.
Is the best friends effective up to 500 yards away?
Oh yes, it is.
All right, Pooh, we're off the rails.
All right, we are off the rails. Let's wrap this thing up.
The best friends. All right.
Where is my
so
mind?
we're gonna be talking more about how we're gonna be doing picks. Hopefully, Beef and I, maybe Beef, we can get together and we can do like a little mini-sode explaining how this goes. And I think the thing is, despite our joking and buffoonery, buffoonery. The new system is really good, not only to avoid just tie because of that, but it also makes you think a little bit. And we're also going to be eliminating last call. So it's gonna. I think it's gonna be good. We'll see. We can always go back to the old way of doing it, but why not give something new a chance? Why not? Thank you all very much for listening to the P3 podcast. My apologies to my co-host for me being late. I had to go do guitar player things. So for tonight, just had to happen. But thank you very much for listening. Make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube. That's the Pittsburgh Pile Driver Podcast. There's another podcast called P3 Podcast, and you know what? We're coming for your ass. Also, go on over to
P3. We're coming for you. Whoa.
Oh my,
right.
No, don't go
All
for
right.
Booker T.
All right. Yeah, don't go full Booker T. You might start criticizing good talent. Anyway, shucky ducky quack quack. Am I right, motherfucker?
Shucky ducky motherfucker. I kill you.
No. You might start criticizing good talent. Oh.
Go on over and check us out anywhere that you get your quality podcasts. Make sure you go check out on Spotify, iTunes, Apple Pod, all that good stuff. Yeah, basically anywhere you find good podcasts, you can find the Pittsburgh Pile Driver Podcast. Also, I want to give a little special shout out to my buddies Matt and Ethan over on the Hookah Chat podcast. They've been listening and they love it. And Ethan is a huge wrestling fan. Yes. And so I want to give a special shout out to him. And make sure you go listen to them. They are hilarious. And they have a lot of good insight. It's called Hookah Chats. You can find them on Spotify. They are absolutely awesome. And I also... I was going to shoot him a message. So Ethan, come for us. If you can get that belt, I will be thrilled. Come for us.
Oh my God. Hashtag went for Hogan.
Also, yay. Tom, I know you get excited for all the tripodiness, but calm down, okay? I'm hashtag Team Beretta. Let's so make sure you follow us on there. Also like us on Facebook. Okay, we're over there. Just again, search for the Pittsburgh Pile Driver Podcast on there. Give us a like, and also while you're over there, make sure you follow and watch the streams of Mr. Casual Gaming Dad himself, Tiger
Uppercut.
Tom. We want to thank him very much for his constant support and also letting us have the Pittsburgh Pile Driver Podcast t-shirt on his shop at gouldgaming.com. Again, make sure that you go ahead and go on over there. That's gouldgaming.com. Just search for Casual Gaming Dad. Get yourself some awesome Casual Gaming Dad merch and pick up a Pittsburgh Pile Driver Podcast t-shirt. They are awesome. We all have one, and hopefully you will soon too. We also want to tell you, we want to send a shout out to Mr. Sean Tischler and his work with IWC. Very excited, and it's so cool. I know we say it every week, or at least I do, that these guys from IWC are getting a lot of great opportunities with WWE, with AEW, a lot of cool places. Shout out to Andrew Palace, who has been kind of involved with AEW, and hopefully he will go a lot of great places. We also want to thank Frigoff Ransom Frig Off Ransom over there. Make sure you subscribe to his YouTube channel. Hilarious content, very poignant and very fun. Hashtag trucker hit. The trucker hit. So make sure you do all those things. And make sure, again, please send in your picks. Make sure to follow us again and listen to the podcast so that you can get your picks in, and maybe you will be the next Cruiserweight champion. For myself, the Barbarian, Poot the Bard, Mr. Tiger,
Uppercut,
Bomb Tom, who is our reigning, defending, undisputed Cruiserweight champion, Mr. Beef, the legend, and of course, Mr. Ransom, the Madman. Have a wonderful evening. Ransom Stinger.
My stinger, mine, my stinger, me, my stinger, trucker hat. Don't fucking do it.